Well, joining me now from Maryland in the US is Charles Kupchan, Professor of International Affairs at Georgetown University and a Senior Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. Charles, good to talk to you again. Trump appearing then to step back from the precipice. Do you think he realised he needed an off-ramp on Greenland and that his territorial ambitions had provoked resistance amongst his allies that he hadn't predicted and perhaps couldn't fight?
Clearly, Trump backed down today, and he said two things that in some ways have enabled Europe, allies, Americans to breathe a sigh of relief. One is, I'm not going to use force, and the other is, I'm not going to hit Europe with tariffs. Either of those moves would, I think, have had potentially irreparable effects, negative effects on the transatlantic alliance. And I think Trump was getting pushback everywhere from his Republican colleagues, from the Catholic Church here in the United States. Public opinion polls showed that 86% of the American electorate opposed the use of force against Greenland. The stock market was here crashing. And then you have all European allies shoulder to shoulder saying, don't go down this road, Mr. Trump. And I think all these pressures got through, and he has decided to back down, at least for now.
Yes. What's your understanding of the deal and what it could contain? I mean, there's no mention of American ownership of Greenland, but he has told a US network that it could involve mineral rights and the planned Golden Dome missile defense system. We
don't know what is in that framework. I'm guessing that it is a set of principles and that people have to work hard to figure out how to turn those principles into a concrete plan. I saw one report floating around that said that the United States would open new bases and that those bases might be treated as sovereign American territory. But I think the broader framework is one in which the United States works with its NATO allies, works with Greenland and Denmark, to fill out a broad spectrum of efforts to get more military capability, to get more naval capability, to perhaps begin work on a missile defense system, to build a road network, an infrastructure that would allow mining to begin. All of these things are reasonable asks by Mr. Trump. They can all be obtained without ownership. And that's why I think many analysts, myself included, were mystified as to why Trump was threatening military force against Greenland when he could get everything he needs under current agreements.
Well, the temperature certainly appears to have cooled. As you say, though, for how long? European leaders have definitely toughened their stance towards Donald Trump. They've got an emergency meeting scheduled later. How should they respond?
I think this is a bit of a tipping point. Up until this fiasco, this crisis over Greenland, I think Europeans were bending over backwards to keep Trump on side, to work with him on tariffs, on Ukraine, on defense spending, to come over and have joint meetings with President Zelensky of Ukraine, all in the service of trying to accommodate Trump's requests. I think those days may be over. And Europeans are realizing that they have to take off the gloves and deal with Donald Trump more firmly. I hope that that firmness takes place behind closed doors, because I think what we saw today in Davos was harmful. The American president insulting Europeans, Europeans using harsh words about Donald Trump. I think one of the reasons that we actually got a deal is that this dialogue was taken behind closed doors. Nobody's grandstanding. Hard work can be done. More U.S.-European dialogue needs to take place where there are no cameras and no microphones, because I think we'll get a better result.
And meanwhile, Vladimir Putin no doubt rubbing his hands together at the prospect of the division within NATO. Charles, great to talk to you. Appreciate you joining us again on TRT World. Charles Kupchan there, Professor of International Affairs at Georgetown University. Thank you.